So now that school is in full swing, one of the biggest struggles as a parent is homework time. Today we want to give you tips on just how to have a more pleasant homework experience with your kids.
Welcome back to Mommies of Jen. I'm Samantha.
And I'm Vanessa.
And we make videos on how to teach, love, and care for your kids. So if you want more videos like this, click that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss one.
All right, guys, so we wanted to start talking about how to have a more pleasant experience with homework on a daily basis with your kids. We begin with tip number 1, which is know your child. And this is very important to do because I am a special education teacher, so I deal with a variety of disabilities ranging from learning disability to ADHD to children on the spectrum. And one of the most important things as teachers is we need to know our students.
Yep.
What does that mean? We need to know their mental stamina. We need to know how often do these kids need break? How long can they actually focus for? Because this is just going to create an easier experience, because if you're aware of that, you'll create a routine that it's catered towards them. So if they can sit for 40 minutes straight, if that's how long homework takes them, great. If not, you may want to work for 15 minutes, give them a 5-minute break, work for another 15-minute break, another 15 minutes, and give them another 5-minute break.
Yep. And that goes to tip number 2 is create a routine. So create a routine that is really, really tailored to your child and their learning style and their work style. So that could be when you get home from school that day, you have a snack first and then homework time, or you get right into homework time so that they have time afterwards to play. But it's really set a routine that is realistic in your household that will create long-term skills.
Yep, and with that comes tip number 3, which is to be consistent. That routine cannot change. That routine has to stay the same throughout the entire year. Because when you establish that routine and you're consistent with it, kids know exactly what to do when they get home, so there's going to be no fighting. But if one day you do homework at 4 o'clock and the other day you do homework at 7 o'clock, they don't really know what to expect. So when they come home, they should know exactly what to do. This is where my book bag goes. I'm going to rest for a little bit. I'm going to start my homework. I'm going to set whatever it is I need to set up, and that's it.
And that goes to tip number 5, which is to
set a pleasant environment.
And it's really important, and we try our best to do that in the classroom too. And that may mean while it's homework time, you have soft music playing. In our classroom, we use music like the Vitamin String Quartet or the Piano Guys. We'll link some below, which is both stimulating but not distracting, which is very, very important. And make sure that the area is clean and clutter-free so that your child can enter a stress-free space when they're about to enter homework time.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that. The music makes a world of a difference because it just sets the right tone. When we play it in our classrooms, that's when our kids are most productive.
Yeah.
That brings us to our next tip, which is to limit distractions. We are a growing family, so I do have a toddler at home, and eventually there's going to be a baby at home. But one of the things that I keep in mind is I want to create an environment which is free of distractions. That means the TV cannot be on. That means my toddler cannot be making noise. So whenever Noah is doing his homework, I have Jade trying to engage in a quiet activity herself. If I'm cooking next to Noah, because usually that's where I am, I'm trying to make as few noise as possible.
Yeah, and we actually made an entire video on creating the ideal homework space, and we'll link that here somewhere above here so that you can watch that too, and it's really helpful. And tip number 6, which is to use a timer. This is something that I was telling Vanessa right before. This is something I still use for myself. I use one called the Focus app on my phone, which gives me intervals of 25 minutes with a 5-minute break to get work done. But you can adjust it to whatever time frame that works for you and your child. And just so that your child knows this is the time that I have allotted to do my homework. During this time, I'm going to focus because I know I don't want to be spending all day doing homework. And after I'm done, I get to relax, I get to play, I get to have dinner, whatever your routine is, but use a timer.
So our next tip is to use praise, use verbal positive reinforcement. And that can look something like if you see that your child kind of already has their routine down packed and they just organically start their homework. You want to say like, oh my God, Noah, I love how you're taking control and you are immediately hopping on board with doing homework.
Yeah.
Or whenever they work quietly and with very little interruptions, you may want to congratulate them on that. Like, I love how you work so hard, or anything along those lines. Positive reinforcement definitely works with kids.
Yeah, and our last but final tip is one that I gave all of the parents that I met during our open school night last week, which is to stay in the loop.
Yep.
Make sure to stay in the loop with the teachers, and that could be as simple as going through your child's book bag to see if there are any handouts that your teacher sent home, looking through their agenda to see if they wrote down their homework for the day, and just being in communication with the teacher to make sure you know what are the expectations that they have. What was the homework that your child got when they went home that day? There are many apps that schools use. There's the Remind app that many teachers use to communicate with their teachers. There's Schedula, is the one that we use in our school.
Parent portal where you can look up assignments. Now I'm talking about high school students. There's a parent portal where parents can log on, see what assignments are due. Have they handed something in? Have they not? You want to stay in the loop.
Well, thank you for watching. We want to know which one of these tips do you love and which are you going to try? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe our page. It really helps us out, and we want to see you here again, and we'll see you next time.
Where the hell is it?